Well, good morning, my little people. What does that even mean? I have no idea what that means. You might be wondering, why do I have a pink shovel in my hand? Why am I wearing a pink shirt? Why is there a pink lamp? Two, they're twins. You may be asking, why do I have a pink donkey? To this, I say, because I watched Barbie. And that is... the color was pink, which is why I brought a pink donkey in here. No, I didn't actually. I don't know why that's in here. So yeah, I watched it today, sort of against my will, but it was still fun. Yeah, so it was pretty good. I watched it for the second time today. This day shall not be disclosed. I liked it more than people thought I would. Yeah, and I started thinking, I started thinking about life. And no, I didn't think about that. But I did think about feminism in a way I've never thought of before, which is really cool and really fun. It was helpful. I feel like I'm getting smarter by the second just intaking information. So I'm like, it was good. I love Simu Liu. It was funny. But the group I went with hated it, honestly. They were all like...
Yeah, I was laughing throughout the whole thing.
I mean, I was laughing too, but they were saying...
Because it was so bad or something?
I don't even know, bro. Bro. Okay, so it was funny. It was funny. It's a fun movie to watch. Watching it a second time, I liked it more and disliked it more. So I liked it more because I saw more of the main theme, so that was really cool. And then I saw more of the errors in the story writing. I mean, it was a good movie though. Not the type of movies I like, but I liked it. It was helpful. It was helpful, I think, for me as a man, as a little boy. I'm a little boy. That's why I have a little donkey. Little donkeys for little boys. That's what we say around here. And you might be asking,
where is here, Rock? Where do you live?
I live... Anyway, I liked the feminism. Basically, I liked the feminism, and that's kind of a weird thing to say. I don't mean I agree with feminism. I just liked the way it's helpful. And let me explain, because I'm smart. Just kidding. I mean, well, no, not really. Okay, so what I think is that basically, so if you look at the feminism, that movement,
I'm smart.
it was very... It had a lot of Christian roots, but more importantly, it fought against abusive masculinity, which of course is terrible. Men, don't beat your husbands. What? I mean, don't beat your wives. Yeah, don't beat your wives, okay? You should know that by now. So anyway, masculinity. Obviously in this world, there's healthy masculinity and unhealthy masculinity, like abusive masculinity. Then there's healthy feminism or healthy femininity.
I'm smart.
Hold on, let me see this. Femininity. There's healthy and unhealthy femininity. Yeah. And so the initial goal of that movement was to push against
Abusive masculinity.
like women not being able to vote or women not being able to own property. That's what it was fighting against. And now that's not what they're fighting against. They're fighting against, at least the way I see it in my flawed opinion, feminism just opposes masculinity as a whole. From a Christian perspective, you're like, okay, that's not what a woman should be. And in some aspects, that's true. But in a way, it's helpful because in the world, there's unhealthy masculinity and healthy masculinity. Feminism doesn't distinguish between the two. They just attack it as a whole. And then the controversy happens with Christians when feminism attacks healthy masculinity. But it is helpful in pointing out and attacking unhealthy masculinity, which I think is really helpful. And I saw that in the movie, pointing out a bunch of unhealthy, quote-unquote, masculine things. And then obviously there were other things that I disagreed with. There were things I agreed with and things I disagreed with. But overall, I liked the movie. It was very funny, very entertaining. I love Ryan Gosling. I love Simu Liu. And them together was so funny. So yeah, it was great in that aspect. And then great in the way it helps me see unhealthy masculinity. And even from it helped me see more of the struggles of women. And it made me sad because it made me sad and scared, like, wait, my sisters will many times be seen as objects. And I don't want to spoil, but there's a scene where they're both walking together, like Barbie and Ken, and they both feel different things from the way people are looking at them. And for Ken, he was like,
I feel fine. I feel admired.
And then for Barbie, she was like,
I feel like I'm made an object.
And there's like an undertone of violence. And I was like, whoa, I don't feel that. really. Maybe my sisters feel that as they grow up. Maybe they feel that now, and that scares me that they actually are, in a sense, especially in the city, in a somewhat constant danger, requiring a constant alertness. Not that men don't have to be alert of other dangers, but that's just scary. That women, my sisters, can be abused in a lot of different ly adverbs. That's just scary. It was helpful to see that a little bit more, to see that danger and to see that struggle, I guess. I'm sure not every woman agrees with that movie, just as not every man agrees with that movie. And I don't agree with it in every aspect. I agree with it in some aspects, actually more aspects than I thought I would. And it was very helpful for me, I think. Yes, the wonky story writing. The main message of the story, I think, is really good. I think it's really good. But it kind of got mixed up because the director is very strong feminist, so her agenda would inevitably get mixed up in there, which is natural. But I think it was so powerful that it mixed up with the plot and it kind of got tangled up, and then at the very end you're like,
oh, okay, this is the climax.
And on top of that, with the wonky story writing, I think there was 2 or 3. There was the main plot line and then 2 like plot lines that were really big that shouldn't have been that big, and it kind of got mixed up, and then you were like,
wait, what's happening, bro? Like, is this after this?
And then you're like,
oh, okay, this is happening.
Which was fine, I guess. I mean, I didn't like that, but I mean, it was fun. So that's the point. Yeah, so there's that. And spoilers, I should say that now. Yeah, if you haven't watched it, watch it. But watch Oppenheimer first. Oppenheimer. Also, do people say survey or survey? Because there's a pulley system, but like no one says pulley. Anyway, Oppenheimer, you should watch that first, to help it, because that movie's great. There's some bad parts, but I mean, watch that instead of Barbie. If you do watch anything. If you had to pick one, watch Oppenheimer. If you pick 2, watch Oppenheimer, then Barbie. And then watch this spoiler. But don't even watch this, because I'm not even like a professional, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like a guy sitting here talking, looking at myself and realizing there will be people who see me in this personal interaction between me and the screen showing myself. Kind of disturbing now that I'm thinking about it. It's all good though. So I think the main message of the movie was actually people don't see it. People don't see it because they did a bad job with story writing. Not terrible, but I think the main message of the movie was somewhere along the lines of, and this is not just me speaking, like I talked to people, but I had the basic layout, kind of. It got solidified when I watched it the second time. But I think the main message of the movie is that life is worth living because of its realness, its depth, and emotion. It's worth living because of that, despite its ups and downs, its trials and treasures, its brokenness, which I think is a great main message. And the way I see this is in the climax, and the way it builds up to the climax. Okay, spoiler. The spoiler is that she ends up deciding to become a human. Why is the question. And there's other climaxes, small climaxes. No, they're pretty big, and that's why they distract from the main climax, which is her bringing back Barbie Land from Kendom, other stuff like that. So in the beginning, it's the perfect life, perfect Barbie life. I love how this is illustrated in between realness and depth and emotion versus fakeness, fake perfection every day, plasticness. That's so good. She's living in a plastic world where everything is quote unquote perfect. Like that whole thing was so good. That's where they live with no sad emotions, just happy all the time. And then she gets fear for the first time, and that's what drives her to go to the real world because she has to fix herself. And she goes, and then she's in the real world, and there's men that sexually harass her. There's sexual comments that just, it makes you feel like, oh, like that. I think for me as a brother, it's just like, and the son of a mom, the brother of a sister, and the nephew of an aunt. If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, it just made me feel like it made me cringe. I know people go through that, but I mean, watching this character go through the story, it just felt like it made me angry, and it made me, I just like, why are you treating, anyway, so yeah, there's that. She experiences the brokenness of the world, the patriarchy as one of the main villains. She cries for the first time, seeing the brokenness of the world, and she was like, that felt achy, which is true. Brokenness causes crying, which is achy, you know what I'm saying? She also said after that,
but it felt good.
Which is like, whoa,
that puts it in like a new perspective.
Which is awesome, because if you think about lamenting to God, you're crying out of your pain, but then by the end of it, you feel better. There's no other way to say it. Better. You literally feel better. Crying after something heartbreaking happens, it makes you feel better. So she experiences pain or emotional pain. She feels sad and she looks around and sees people like in the distance, like in a picnic, a couple in an argument. She sees this guy sitting down, his head's down, he looks super stressed, super mad or sad or something. And then she looks around, she also sees kids playing, having a fun time. She just sees the world, it's good and it's bad. And she's like,
this is beautiful.
and it all becomes so amazing and makes you kind of want to cry when she turns to like an old lady next to her, because she's sitting at a bus stop just thinking about life. And she turns to the old lady next to her and she says,
you're so beautiful.
and it made me want to cry because, I mean, heck yeah, she's so beautiful, that old lady. The reason it felt so awesome was because she came from a plastic world where everyone's the same. She was saying,
I look perfect.
she started feeling not perfect and not looking perfect. So she had to go to the real world to fix the kid who's messing with her and come back and be perfect again. Stereotypical Barbie is perfection in her eyes. And then she goes to the real world, sees all this pain and suffering and joy and happiness and sees the good and the bad, turns to the old lady.
Hi, Lola. Hi.
And says, you're beautiful.
You are.
Thank you.
And it's amazing. That's beauty. They didn't specify what was beautiful, but she is beautiful. Like, she's made in God's image. It's not being white. I'm just kidding. But it's not being stereotypical Barbie. That's not perfect. That's not beautiful, I mean. But that old lady was perfect and beautiful in the sense that she's made in God's image, which was so cool. Anyway, so she experiences that. She goes back to Barbie Land, fixes it because there's some problem. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Barbie Land experiences some problems because Ken goes back and brings like patriarchy back. And remember, like, Barbie Land is like, it's feministic, if that's a word. She goes back, fixes it, it's all perfect again. But then they ask her,
What do you want?
and then she's like,
I don't know. This is not what I want anymore.
this perfect place that I left, that I thought was perfect, this perfect image of myself that I had, this beautiful image I had of me living in this forever paradise, make sure you look at that finger, that's not perfect, or that's not beautiful, and it's not perfect. It's plastic. Why would you want this? Would you prefer this or a metal shovel? Obviously the metal shovel. That's like saying, hey son, do you want a plastic gun for Christmas or do you want a real gun? Obviously I want the real gun. You know, who would want a fake gun? Anyway, and then they ask her like, what do you want? And she's like, I don't know. So later in the climax, she decides, I want to be a human. And then her guide, the old lady, Ruth, you know, from the Bible, she tells her, holding her hands in this, like, I don't know, in between the worlds place. It's just foggy everywhere. And she's just holding her hands and she's
like, I want to be human.
Ruth is like, okay, close your beautiful eyes. And then Ruth's like, and feel. And then she opens her eyes and then she becomes a human. But it's like the and feel. That is why she wants to become a human, because humans feel other emotions. Imagine living a perfect day, every day, perfect, with only happiness. That happiness is not contrasted with darkness. In the real world, that's why happiness feels better there, because there's trials that grow you. You experience new things. You become more human. You can draw closer to God. Obviously, this is in a more Christian opinion, you know what I'm saying? Life is better. Realness is better than plasticness, and it's the awesome comparison that happened. And obviously the plot got mixed up with a bunch of stuff that made it kind of confusing, and I don't think a lot of people can see the main message because of that mix-up, but it was a great movie. Yeah, it was great in that sense. It's not for everybody. Obviously nothing is for everybody. Going back to what I was saying earlier, in a Christian perspective, you'd probably want to pick Barbie Land if you're not a Christian, because there you don't die. But even there is still like an emptiness, you know, which kind of contrasts with like, if you're looking purely at what you find your hope in, that those things, like those gods or idols that you hold on to as a Christian or non-Christian, that those will not fulfill you. Those are plastic and they're not fulfilling. Only God is fulfilling. And that is a very wonky thought that I had, because I realized that doesn't really match up. But it's a cool thought. You gotta admit. You got it. So yeah, that's my take on
Barbie.
It made me want to get a Barbie. Not gonna lie. Not to play with, but there's a character called the Weird Barbie. I wanted to do everything that happened to that Barbie. I want to get a Barbie now, not gonna lie. And I also want to get a Shang-Chi, like a Simu Liu action figure. I have one. It's my favorite. But I want to get another one. Pray for that. You should watch that movie. Actually, I don't even know why I'm saying that. I don't really care if you watch it or not. But it was good. It was good. Obviously, I don't like all of it, but I like most of it. More than I thought I would. So those are my thoughts that are faulty. If you watch the movie, you should probably go with other people who are not like primed to hate it. The first time I went, it was really good, but they didn't really talk about the movie. I had to bring it up and then we could talk about it so I could exercise my thoughts about it. And then the second group I went with, they were like primed from the beginning to hate that movie. So it was like, yeah, it was kind of...
Okay, you missed the whole main point of it because you were so...
antagonistic towards it.
I mean, that's their fault. They missed it, which is fine. But I'd watch it again, maybe like every long time. No, it's a fun family movie. But so is Oppenheimer. I'm just kidding. No, it's not. But it's a great movie. I'd watch that. Yeah. So, yeah, you should watch Oppenheimer.